Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Black Spinner Music Podcast. And today's segment, we are going to be doing the ABCs of music, which will be my top 10 of the letter A. I'm going to go through some records here from my favorite artists that start with the letter A. And I also have some honorable picks as well. So the albums that I am going to show, or cassettes even, and even CDs, that I'm going to show are going to be the ones that stick out to me and the ones that I chose for these specific bands, and I will tell you why. Maybe some of them are my favorites, or I might have seen that tour. I will also go on to say if I've seen these bands live. So we will go through my top 10 of the letter A. It can be first name or last name of an artist, but I think I'm pretty much stuck to mainly bands on this one. There might be one or two with the letter A in the first name or last name. So without further ado, let's get started. Let me put on my glasses so I can see what's going on here. All right, everybody. So what we're doing here, like I said, it's the letter A. So let's start off with my number 10 artist with the letter A. It's going to be Anthrax. There's the cassette for Spreading the Disease. I've had this cassette for a very long time. This was the first thing I ever heard by Anthrax. I've got other stuff too, but there's just something about this one. Even though this is not my favorite album by the band, my favorite is Among the Living. But this is the second one. Hey, that's probably Mark who doesn't recognize me without the beard. Or please let yourself be known because it just says Facebook user. So Anthrax with Spreading the Disease is my top, is my number 10 on this one. Um, I've been a follower of the band for quite some time, and now they're still making great music. They might have even gotten better with time, and still selling stuff out and shows and touring as the Big Four along with Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer. So Anthrax has done very good for themselves. They've done a very good job. And next up, we got my number 9 pick for the letter A. It's going to be Angel. Angel is a very popular band in the late 70s. Very good band. Very good musicians on here. They recorded on the Casablanca label here, and they were supposed to be like maybe another form of Kiss, or to be the alternative to Kiss. Even though when they came out, Kiss was at the height of their popularity in the late 70s. As you notice, Kiss was black mainly, and Angel wears everything in white. These supposedly was supposed to be the alternative to the scary and very dangerous Kiss. So Angel is and there's the back of it. This one's called On Earth as It Is in Heaven, and they've also got another great album called Hell of a Band. So Angel, if you're not too familiar with Angel, stream them or check them out. I really think that you'll be very surprised, and it will work out for you because it's a very good band. I enjoy listening to them. So Angel is my number 8. My number 9. My number 8 is going to be a guy who is mainly known to being in a band. He is mainly the guitar the rhythm guitar player for the band The Strokes. And this is his second release called Como Te Ama by Albert Hammond Jr. He's got probably about 4 albums and a couple of EPs. My cousin and I got to see him live, and he was fantastic. He's also the son of Albert Hammond, who sings, wrote, his father's a songwriter who wrote It Never Rains in Southern California. But also, this week, I did not know that he did the original version of To All the Girls I Loved Before. He also wrote it, of course, because he's a songwriter. But that song was made famous by Willie Nelson and Julio Iglesias. But I didn't know that Albert Hammond Jr.'s father wrote "To All the Girls I Loved" before. I did hear it over the weekend, and it's okay. But I'm just so used to Julio and Willie singing that song, which they do a fantastic song of that, a fantastic job on that song. And if y'all want to chuckle, look up on a YouTube where Julio Iglesias makes a guest appearance. Well, not a guest appearance, but he's a guest on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and they sing "To All the Girls I Loved" before, and Johnny Carson dresses up like Willie Nelson and sounds almost exactly like him. It's just fantastic. It's really something to watch if you got the time on YouTube. My number 7, I'm going to go with Bryan Adams. Here's the Reckless album. This was the album that I found that I started to really follow him on. This was his big breakthrough. Even though he did have a couple of hits on his previous album, but this has Run to You, Heaven, Somebody, Summer of '69. So this was the album that got me into him, and he's had other subsequent album releases. Of course, he's been in the rock and roll game for a very, very long time. So Bryan Adams, if you've lost touch with him, look him up. He's got some really good stuff here as of late. And my number 6 band to go to with the letter A. This one's going to be a pretty short show. The Animals. This one's called Animalism. I picked the Animals because, of course, they were part of the British invasion after the Beatles came over. But the thing with them is that they were so different from everybody else. They had that rock and roll feel to them, but also R&B, and also whatever the hell else they wanted to do. The Animals were they pretty much played whatever they wanted to play, and it sounded great. They broke genres, they broke barriers, and they were really crazy on their instruments, on the Animals. And of course, they did have several um, covers, of course, with their big hit being the great version of the House of the Rising Sun. But there's a lot more to the Animals than that. Check them out if you're not too familiar with them. The Animals. And my number 5 is going to be a band from the 2000s. It's a super group, but I guess they're a super group. But pretty much it was just Rage Against the Machine, and they added Chris Cornell. I'm talking about Audioslave. Audioslave was so good when they came out in the early 2000s. I had started to get a little tired of the Rage Against the Machine lyrics and all that, and all started to sound the same. So when Audioslave came out with Chris Cornell and Chris Cornell lyrics, and they went to sounding like a regular rock and roll band, or a regular hard rock band, that's what I really enjoyed the most. Even though I'm a big Rage Against the Machine fan, but once they really got into Audioslave, and they cut back on a lot of the Rage Against the Machine um, go to and music, and started to just go straight rock. Audioslave were fantastic. And my number 4 for the letter A, Alice Cooper. I'm showing the album Killer because that's my favorite Alice Cooper band. Album. This is the Alice Cooper band. I've seen Alice Cooper a couple of times. Once when they opened up for Motley Crue on the farewell tour that didn't stay a farewell tour, and also saw them with Deep Purple. There's the back of it. Has one of my favorite songs by Alice Cooper, "Be My Lover." This starts off with "Under My Wheels." It's a great album. But we're not talking about the album. We're talking about the band. Alice Cooper was started in the late '60s under the direction of Frank Zappa, and Alice Cooper turned out to be a big attraction on the road in the mid '70s, and also one of the best bands out there in the mid '70s. And things, just like every band, things made a turn for them in the late '70s, going into the early '80s. Even though when Alice Cooper went into the early '80s, I really enjoyed those alternative rock albums, I guess is what they were. But in the late '80s, he went back to his bread and butter of heavy metal or hard rock, pretty much, and he has stayed that way ever since. And he has made a good name for himself still. My number three band with the letter A is going to be the Allman Brothers. I am showing their live album. A lot of people say it's one of the best live albums of all time. Live at the Fillmore double album. I could have picked out so many different albums to show about the Allman Brothers. The Allman Brothers started as a southern rock band because there always has to be a label for things, but I would not put them at southern rock at all. There were so much more than that. They are pretty much hard to say what kind of genre. They can be rock, they can be blues, they can be jazz, they can be southern rock, they can be whatever they want to be, and they were fantastic at everything they tried. Unfortunately, things didn't go too well for them. After that 10 years, like so many other bands, after 10 years of being great, they've run out of ideas. But they stayed together and became a really strong touring band and made several big albums that were big for them in the '90s, going into the '90s. But they kept touring until the death of Greg Allman, just a couple of years ago, stopped them. And that's what they should have done, was stop after Dwayne Allman passed away. Really good though, live at the Fillmore East, and it's got a 22-minute of whipping post, which you can never get tired of that song. It's just like hearing a 23 or 24 minute of Dazed and Confused live, or just your favorite live album, favorite live songs that can go over 20 minutes and you don't feel it's great. My number two band, right here, I was going back and forth on who was going to be number two and who was going to be number one. Because I love both of these bands the same, but I kind of went with who made the better albums later on in the year. I mean, later on in their career. Excuse me, I beg your pardon. So, number two, I'm going to go with AC/DC as my number two. And the album I'm going to show is Highway to Hell. Highway to Hell is a perfect album, in my opinion, from beginning to end, with Bon Scott being his last album. Now, I was able to, but they start off as an Australian band with one of their brothers, George Young, as being one of their producers, and they made their best albums with them, with George Young, and from there they made great albums with Bon Scott. Unfortunately, Bon Scott passed away, as anyone that's watching this podcast knows. And in 1980, they returned with Brian Johnson with Back in Black, another great album. I love that one as well. But I chose this one because this is such a rocking album. And they stayed together. Well, no, they're still together and they're still releasing albums. And their albums after the '80s were good albums, but not like they were top to bottom 100% fantastic. But they're still out there. Their last album was really good. I liked it. I don't know what they're gonna do next. There's been rumors of tours, but I don't know. I think they're going to be on the Power Trip bill That's going to be out in Coachella. I think they're on that bill. I'm pretty sure they are. But ACDC is my number two for the letter A. Very good album. And my number one for the letter A, it's going to be Aerosmith. I'm going to show Toys in the Attic because Toys in the Attic is a fantastic album, one of my favorites. It grooves, man. It grooves from beginning to end. Um, I picked them because of their longevity. When it came to the 90s, I think that they made better albums than ACDC. And in the mid 80s, again, made better albums than ACDC. Now, Aerosmith has kind of, we don't know what's going on with them right now. They're touring and they got a residency in Las Vegas. And Joe Perry was saying earlier this week, Joe Perry being the lead guitar player, was saying that they're not too sure if they're going to go to the studio and make another album or not, but they certainly are going to tour after this residency. But he did say that they have a lot of unreleased music, and if it's anything like this that they have released called "The Road Starts Here," I am all for it. I will be so excited if they decide to make music. I mean, not to make music, but to release unreleased either live or just different songs from different eras for them. That would be really something to see. And now, so that's my number one band, Aerosmith with the letter A. And to get to a couple of bands that were on my honorable mentions that didn't quite crack the top 10, of course, Alice in Chains, fantastic band. I enjoy them, and I got them as an honorable mention. Unfortunately, they didn't crack my top 10, and neither did this guy, Argent. And I've got a lot of different stuff by Argent because he's on a lot of different um, projects, doing a lot of stuff with Edgar Winter and with Johnny Winter, but mainly with Edgar. And of course, with the McCoys, Hang On Sloopy, very good guy, very good taste in rock music. I also have this other on cassette of his, the Argent Anthology. Probably throw that on later on today after Fiddler. I didn't talk about Fiddler because it starts with an F. But the Argent Anthology. And also, I wanted to mention America. I got quite a few other America albums, but this is called The History of America, which is their greatest hits, and it's and it was the first thing that I got from them, and it's wonderful, and that's what got me into them to go out and grab some more of their stuff, and I was rewarded with great albums. They're a little soft rock, but the guitar playing and the singing and the songwriting, it's just good stuff. And also, I want to talk about of the Alan Parsons Project. Alan Parsons being a big time producer in the late 60s and throughout the 70s with Pink Floyd and Beatles and whoever else you can name. But when he went on his own and had the Alan Parsons Project, it was really good stuff. And that's why I got Alan Parsons as an honorable mention. He deserves to be on there. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I know that it's a short show. It was short today, but that's fine. Every once in a while, we can go for, what is it? Go for 20 minutes instead of 4 hours. Even though I love the 4 hour shows. But right now, a 20-minute show, there's nothing wrong with that. I was able to share my top 10 of the letter A and some honorable mentions. So next week, we are going to be doing the top 10 of 1989. That's going to be a very good show, and we will talk about that this week and see who I can bring on there with me for 1989. So thank you so much, everybody out there, for watching. The clicker up there keeps saying that there's quite a people watching here and there. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. It looks like a lot of us are starting to get used to Wednesday nights being Black Spinner Music Podcast night. So I really do appreciate that. So thank you everybody out there for watching, and also check out my friends' podcast as well. The BS sessions with Mark, Jerry, and Charles. They will have a show tomorrow. It will be on YouTube and Facebook. They are going to be ranking the all the Star Wars movies in order and according to them. So that's going to be a very fun and interesting show. And also check out Edwin Conistrossi um, on YouTube. He just did a fantastic review on the new Metallica album of 72 Seasons. So check that out. And also check out my friend Metal Mike on that metal station. He comes out on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Also, Mark Alden Taylor also does a great radio show on that metal station as well on Tuesday nights from 6 to 10 Pacific time, I believe. And I get a block on there as well. So check out all those podcasts. We're all friends. We all try to share each other's time. So check that out. Those people have also been on my show at different times. So, they give a lot of time for what I need. So I will be more than happy to plug in everything they need. Speaking of plugging in, also check out the Plug podcast with Metal Mike and with Bushy. That comes out on Tuesdays, and that can be found on any podcasting service. And also, Mark Alden Taylor, such a busy guy, this Mark Alden Taylor. He's got also another podcast called the Freeform Rock Podcast, and that also it can be found on any podcasting devices. And also one more, Al Horta on YouTube. Be Cool or Be Podcast out for great live performances. In fact, he's got a really good one of of Joe Perry, of the Joe Perry Project, of a show he went to probably about a couple of months ago. So check that out. He's got a lot of great live shows there. So check that out. And also on YouTube, check out my other shows. I've got over 100 of them on there. So check those out. And also they will be here on Facebook as well. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Y'all take care, and I'll see y'all next week.